volume 0%.
Good afternoon, and welcome to More Than Meets the Eye. I'm your host, Blind Prime, and for today I have for you a few things. One, the Toybiz Build-A-Figure Giant Apocalypse. Here he is, and holy crap, he is a big apocalypse. And also a statement of I'm still trying to raise money for my GoFundMe account and to help the channel, continue moving forward in a positive direction. And with inflation as high as it is these days, things are getting tight. And well, I want to continue this channel, and I need to continue this channel. It feels like it's something that will help people, so I'm going to continue doing it. But this, I would like to do it easier and have an easier time of it, and eat more than just ramen so that I can, afford to get things for the channel. So, for the channel, I have right here is the Toybiz Build-A-Figure Giant Apocalypse, missing one hose. I don't know what happened to it. It was just gone one day. Then again, I got this guy when I lived in Alabama, and then I moved here to Florida, and then I've moved like 20 times since I moved to Florida. So, bleh. I don't know what happened to it. I've scoured heaven and earth for it. It's gone, sadly. Anyway, it kind of sucked. So, it has one hose, and what's going on here is that I'm putting this guy up for if you are an individual, the first individual who donates $150 to my GoFundMe will be getting this guy in the mail. Shipping on me so long as it's in the continental United States. If it's international shipping, then we can talk about maybe doing half and half. You pitch in half for the shipping, I pitch in half for the shipping. But this will be I've given this some thought, and I've been thinking about selling it, so it would be $150 donation to the channel, and you get this B.A.F. Toybiz Apocalypse. I keep saying Sentinel, and I mean Apocalypse. Apocalypse. He is a beast apocalypse. He's the biggest apocalypse. There is no apocalypse that outmatches the apocalypse nature of this apocalypse. This is one awesome apocalypse. And I'm going to try and say apocalypse a couple more times. Apocalypse. So, that out of the way, and maybe somebody wants this guy for their collection. He's not bringing me any more joy. I got him whenever they all came out, and since then, due to different factors, a lot of my Toybiz collection has been sold to either pay for classes, pay for bills. They really got me through college, and so maybe this guy can help get me through this YouTube channel and in these beginning years and really set it forward, because it is my intention to keep this channel going for years. This isn't going to stop. I'm going to be here for the next 5 years. That is my, I have a 5-year program built around this channel, and this is all utilized with the channel being the center pin, the kingpin, if you will, to my 5-year plans. So, this is Apocalypse, and we're going to talk about Apocalypse today, and maybe one of you, my viewers, would love to own this Apocalypse and would love to help me out, and in exchange for helping me out, get your own Apocalypse. I mean, it's a pretty good deal. Though I totally get it if you can't afford it. I can't afford most things anymore. Inflation's at insane rates. Okay, so we'll start this with a measurement, of course. We always do our measurements here. And our measurements table goes there. And then we're going to pick that all the way up. Boom, 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 boom. And hold it there. Hold it steady. It's moving all over the place. Okay, there. This is never really a for sure thing, but this guy's 42 studs tall, roughly, approximately. There's a margin of error of plus or minus 20 studs. Make sure the margin of error is big enough. So he's got some issues, and we'll talk about them, and we'll talk about his benefits. So before we do, let's get out our good old G.I. Joe Classified Series BAT, and BAT stands all the way up to mid-thigh on Apocalypse here. Yeah, mid-thigh on Apocalypse. Stand him off to the side. Apocalypse can even just kind of hold this guy. Well, he's got fisticuff hands, so I don't know how well he can hold him. Yes, Apocalypse thinks puny bat. You're Okay, drop the bat. Okay, it's like dropping a mic, but it's a battle assault trooper. Don't worry, that wasn't a very long fall, so bat's okay. All right. So, all right, so that's the measurements on the sizing for him, and let's talk about some of his detail. For one thing, this guy is made with some crazy, crazy stiff plastic. This stuff has lasted the ages. You know, all of his clicky joints are just crazy powerful. They, he's got some good ratchet joints in there, and his knees are good and ratcheted. None of them are loose, which is something that I really have strove to keep going with this guy. Though one of his, this leg right here does get a little loose. He does have a little wear there. So if you want to, come on, hold still. Yeah, he does manage to stand really well. You can get him in a lot of different standing positions. They did do a decent job with the weight dispersion. His legs are pretty long, as you could see with the bat. They're definitely 7 or 8 inches in height. And sculpt-wise, this was very well sculpted. You know, you got the toe pivot at the very end of his foot. That's really fun. And, you got a nice steel-toed boot kind of thing there. He's got this cool little ankle bracer that wraps around his ankle. And that's really well detailed. And his legs aren't really that well sculpted, but you can feel like giant boot edges. And then you come up and you get the occasional wire on the back end of his legs. That comes up, but not really much. For the most part, his legs are very unsculpted, but that's because they left all the fun stuff up here. So we got his arms that end in. So his legs, by the way, we'll discuss articulation in a minute. So his arms, pretty cool. They got some really nice sculpt work to them. They're heavy plastic. His fists, the only negative to them, I have to say, is the fact that they don't have 2 hinges, so you could actually open the fingers all the way, which is a missed opportunity. But I think that having 4 articulated fingers, it's totally weird that are half closed. They did that for Wolverine as well, and I never really understood that too much. At least give us a hinge on one of those. But that's articulation, so we'll talk about that in a minute. The glove sculpt work on this thing is quite excellent. This guy, he doesn't have much unique sculpt that's really popping, but what does pop is, and I remember this guy from the 90s cartoon and stuff, and he's got some good stuff. These ends on his gloves are really fun. Little connector stuff. I don't know if they lit up or not in the show, but that's there. And there's of course the connector for we'll spin him around, the hose, and you got my one hose here. It goes all the way back, connects to his back, and then comes out and connects to his arm. The other hose is supposed to connect from his back to the back of his arm on the other side, but they did limit a lot of the ability for him to move, and also it was difficult to transport him, so I had to unplug them, and that's where I kind of lost one of them. It's tell you what, whenever you're moving your important items, like the items that you really love and collect, never let anyone else pack them. That's a lesson I learned when I was 19 or 20. I think it was 20 whenever I moved here. So it was a lesson I learned then when I did the big move and noticed pieces were gone, and I was like, yeah, I was so angry. So we'll get to his core body here. He's got this big A on his belt, just in case because all the superheroes back then had to have an emblem, and he's got this big section up here, his upper body, that his head, he's got this thing wrapped around his head like a popped up collar, and his head's inside, and then you can reach in there and feel. He's got some really great neat neck detail in there, and he's got a really amazing head sculpt. I love this head sculpt. It is a fun head sculpt that you can't help but enjoy feeling. He's got one of those faces. It's just, they did a good job with him. They did an excellent job with him. And my so what I love about this figure is that he is a big guy, and also that he is, just a major villain. And the sculpt work for this is top notch. But I do have some negatives. Negative number one, I don't like how top heavy he is. Like I said that he is sculpted really well, and they did do a decent job trying to balance him so that you could put him in places. But now that I've moved him around a lot, I can't find his balance points anymore. There it is. Okay, so occasionally you got to find the new balance point to get the figure, because they put so much armor on him here, and Toybiz didn't really believe in hollowing sections out to decrease weight, so they were like all in, and this thing has got this upper body torso, even though it is hollow, it's made out of so many layers of thick plastic that it's heavier, and it does put some strain on the legs and stuff. And that's important to remember when posing him. Is always be sure to pose him in such a way that he's not going to just fall, and he needs to get posed also in such a way that he's kind of in the back of everybody. So if he does fall, he's not going to fall right off your shelf. Uh, though a lot of the Toybiz have issues with falling, and I think part of that is due to their articulation points. So let's talk about articulation now. And articulation is that he's got a toe hinge. He has back and forth foot. He's also got side to side foot action. So his feet can move. I think his feet can move back and forth. Let's see. Yep, his feet do move back and forth and side to side. So you get that nice side action. And then we get not a spin in the foot. Sorry, the foot does not spin any sort of way. It is in there, and it does not like spinning because of the way the mold works. But you do get double jointed knees, which, when this guy came out, double jointed knees were crazy awesome. And he's got 360-degree swivel with his hips, though, because he's got this hose thing attached to him. It doesn't really do much. He's got the Toybiz crazy hip joints that, I think Hasbro's created better hip joints over time, but this guy's hip joints were quite amazing. And, it's ratcheted. His knees are ratcheted. The up and back motion of the hip joints is ratcheted. The side to side isn't ratcheted, but that's still a decent joint after all these years. Like, that joint is still firm and sturdy. So he's not going to just do some splits on you. He's got some articulation in his core, but not much because of the you can hear the ratchet trying to click. There it goes. And he can look like this far back, and then he can look that far forward. So we're just going to put him like that, center-wise. Then his head is on somewhat of a ball joint. He can look left, he can look right, he can look up really far, he can look down. Yeah, okay. But he'll have to bend down to look down. And then we get to his shoulders. He's got all the good shoulder stuff. No butterfly. But he does have, I think he's got double jointed elbows. Doesn't he? Or was that a failing? Yeah. No, there are no double jointed elbows on this guy, sadly. But he does have no, he doesn't have spinning wrists. So his arms are pretty static, actually. They don't. His hand doesn't rotate. His wrist doesn't rotate. The only rotation his arm gets is at the bicep, and we get to his hand, and his hand has 4 moving fingers that are articulated, that are bent over themselves, so he can either do a straight flat of the fingers kind of punch, or he can close his hand together and make a nice fist. You can have him pose doing that. So yeah, that is Toybiz Apocalypse. He took a lot of figures to build. He is a good, fun toy. He also really poses well amongst other figures. Like if you had the Age of Apocalypse wave from the new Marvel Legends, you wanted a giant apocalypse for them to fight. Well, here you go. And yeah, if if you want to help out the channel, this guy's up for sale, in the sense of you donate to the GoFundMe and you'll get him. And if you donate the 150 and leave a remark on your donation, like if you can put a note there that says, for the Sentinel, not for the Sentinel, for the Apocalypse. Good grief. I like my Apocalypse, but I like my Sentinel a lot more than Apocalypse. Anyway, guys, I'm Blind Prime, and this has been More Than Meets the Eye, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Please tune in next Prime, where we will be talking about something new. Never know what we're going to talk about on this channel, and stick tuned to the Lego Modular Cave System videos that are ongoing. I'm going to be releasing the final touch video for that later on, and that will be an entire cube, so you can check out the playlist and watch those videos. Now, until next Prime, bye-bye for now.